Oh, you're leading us to something else that we've been wanting to say for a long time. We've been tiptoeing into this in the last gathering or so, but this is a really good place for this conversation. We've offered a lot of processes over time, and a lot of you have applied them. Esther applied all of them and still applies many of them because she's wanting to tune her vibrational frequency, and when she feels negative emotions, she wants to clean up the vibration that she knows is the reason for that. She knows that negative emotion means that her inner being feels one way about something and she feels a different way about it, and she wants to close that gap. She wants to see through the eyes of source, which is exactly the conversation that we're on here. And so there are processes like focus wheels or making lists of positive aspects, and if you want, we'll talk about some of those as we move forward through this day. But what we're saying to Esther these days, Esther who's a master of deliberate creation, Esther who is very much aware of how she's feeling and doesn't take any vibration for granted. She wants to do something about it. She wants to be deliberate and not be a creator by default. We've been saying to her, getting out ahead of it is really what you're reaching for, which those are hard words to wrap your thoughts around. What do you mean getting out ahead of it? And what we mean by that is not waiting until life gives you something that you react to and then trying to get over the reaction. We mean tuning into source so that your action is inspired from that tuning. The other day something happened that was unsettling to Esther, so she sat to do a process so she felt less unsettled. And she'd been doing some of those processes with a friend earlier, and she was sort of sick of this focus wheel process because it was starting to feel like trying too hard because it was trying too hard. And so she sort of set her book aside as if to say, enough of that. And then the thought came to her mind, if I were starting over with this relationship or with this big piece of my life, if I were completely starting over with it, knowing what I now know, if I were, what would I choose? And then the thought piled into her mind, more than if, since right now I am new. This is what you're talking about. Since right now I am newly looking at this old painting, but since I'm newly doing it now, I am new now. I am new now, and if I'm tuned in, tapped in, turned on, if I'm in love with life, if I'm in vibrational sync with who I really am, if I'm not trying to overcome resistance or mired in resistance, but if I'm jubilant and lighthearted and happy and pondering something. She recalled us saying so many times, it may be our most often offered phrase, one who's connected to source energy or to the stream or to the vortex. We've had a lot of different stories that we've been telling you about this way to describe this connection to your source, to who you really are. One who's connected to that is millions of times more powerful than one who is not. That's a leverage that we can't even find words in Esther's vocabulary to define accurately. Tuning in is powerful, and for a few seconds Esther felt that. She got a glimpse of what it feels like. Since I can be or do or have anything that I choose, what do I choose? Because almost none of you do it. Almost everyone says, since I choose that from where I am, then I've got to get over this and this and this and this and this. I got to go back and repaint that painting, or I've got to go back and redo. I've got to go back and find forgiveness with that. And all you do is get muddled in the mire of that. Because it's attraction, attraction, attraction. There is no exclusion in this universe. And so when you see yourself as something that needs improvement and you push against the part that you're trying to improve, it doesn't diminish, it becomes more, and you take it with you into your now, and it muddles your ability. It stops your clarity of acknowledging the perfection of whatever it is that you're giving your attention to now. Are you with us? This is a deep conversation. So also, it's like the difference between trying to fix something that is broken and just finding something that is perfect and new. It's a big difference. It's a big difference. And you have the ability in every moment to go right to that clarity. It'll take a little practice. Esther's still practicing every day. But the point that we made with her in that experience that she was living, what she took away from it, and therefore the analogy that we're offering to you here, is Don't try so hard. Don't work so hard. If we can get across to you that in your living you've created a vibrational reality that is real, and it is full of all that you've become, and that's calling you, and your inner being is standing there in that vibrational frequency, radiating such a signal, you call it inspiration. You feel it often while you're doing your art. And as you acknowledge the existence of that vibration, and you seek to find it by seeking to feel it, which means you're looking for feelings of clarity and feelings of happy and feelings of empowerment and feelings of elation, and doing whatever you can to find that, then that is a faster way, a more effective way, and certainly a more enjoying the journey way of moving from the thought to the thing. Thoughts are turning to things constantly, and they are mimicking how you feel. And so what's manifesting is a good way to know what your vibrational offering has been. But an even better way is to know what your vibrational offering is. And getting out ahead of it means caring about how you feel, period. Not for the ulterior motive of feeling good so I can create better. Because did you hear just what happened? When I decide I want to feel good so that I can create better, what am I looking at? Worse. And what did I just introduce into the vibrational mix? Resistance. And so what did I just do to my receiving mode? Muted it. So how do I feel? Not so good. Confusion rather than clarity. You following? So our encouragement, what we're really saying to you is, be nicer to you. Do more of the things that feel good to you. Stop sacrificing. Stop feeling like I got to work hard in order to receive this. Instead, begin making declarative statements to yourself like this: I am an extension of source energy, and source energy is all over me. I'm an extension of source energy, and my source energy is reveling in what I have created as a result of my exposure to contrast. It's a wonderful thing where I stand, and it's a wonderful thing what I've created. And all I want to do, all I need to do, all I want to do, all that is necessary, all that I want to do is to follow my bliss. Follow my bliss. That person bums me out. I don't feel like calling them. Don't. They'll feel bad. Maybe. I need to call them. Don't do it. Does it make your heart sing when you think about doing it? No. Then don't do it. I feel like calling that friend. Do it. Do it. People are in all kinds of different places. If you will be good to yourself. I feel like a walk. I feel like breathing deeply. I feel like listening to music. I feel like dancing tonight. I feel like a really good meal. I feel like a spa. I feel like going to the ocean. I feel like taking a day off. I feel like calling this uplifting friend. I feel like just curling up and reading a book. Be nicer to yourselves. Don't let the bargains that you've made with other people that bind you in an attitude of bondage and service, don't let that deprive you of your connection to the energy that creates worlds, to the true leverage. Now, to be clear with you, there's stuff you gotta do. You gotta feed your kids. And you gotta go to work, and it's good for you when you make your bed, and blah, blah, blah. In other words, do those things, do those things, do those service things. Just minimize the service part and maximize more of doing things that please you. And when people say, why did you do that? Say, wanted to. Don't let anybody guilt you into a justification. Well, I thought if I did that it might enhance your experience in some way, sweetheart. No, wanted to, felt like it, felt called to it, felt guided to it, got an inspiration, knew it was the right thing for me to do. Or say, don't feel like explaining anything. Be nicer to yourselves. And that's what we mean by getting out ahead of it. Don't try to clean up the vibration. Wait, clean up the vibration. Just don't do that all the time. Use the real power. Use the real power, which is tuning in. And for those like you who are creative in your work, sculpting or painting or musicking or writing or dancing or those things that you want to call the creative arts. Everything is creation. But those of you who have felt inspiration and known it was there, and so gone to your place where you could let it flow, you get what we mean. We want you to put yourself into that creative place more often, where you let yourself flow. And do you know, this is where it gets really important for you to hear. 10 seconds of that kind of flow is equivalent to about 2 years of action. It's huge. It's huge. It's huge. It's huge. Helpful?
Yes. Thank you so much.